Good afternoon, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. Yay, I'm back to the garden. We're coming up for the end of September. I feel like I've hardly been in the garden at all. I mean, I know I've been kind of dashing hither and thither around the country, and the last few days in particular were just heavenly down in Purbeck in Dorset. But I've come back, and on the train coming home this weekend, I was sort of suddenly thinking, wow, I need to start thinking about getting garlic in, getting broad beans in, harvesting, etc, etc. So I think I'm in for a busy couple of weeks in the garden. Also, today, the main thing for today is I'm on a rescue mission, because last week we had some terrifically high winds, followed at the weekend by a real dumping of rain. On, I think it was Thursday of last week, I did briefly come to the garden just to grab a couple of bits and pieces of ingredients. And wow, the site, all around my site, and I've seen it on sites all over as well. Bean poles are down, tomatoes are down, people have had their greenhouses smashed to smithereens, polytunnels ripped apart, and the metal all buckled and twisted, which is awful. So actually, when I came last Thursday, I did see quite a bit of destruction on my site. Sunflowers were down, my neighbour's really tall, large cosmos were down, and my beans were at a jaunty angle. So, if you've had similar, if you've got similar at the moment, please don't despair, don't be too disheartened, don't be too down. It's pretty much all salvageable. I am of course talking about the plants, and say with me with my bean poles, I don't think things have snapped. I think it's just that strings have snapped, and things have just blown over. Of course, my heart goes out to any folk who are having to replace glass in their greenhouses and whose polytunnels are shredded. Not so easy to fix, but for those of us where it's just the plants, don't despair, just get out there and start picking. I think one of the big problems this year is the beans came so late, really, there was just nothing to show for them in June and July, not even the beginning of August, and then we had that rain towards the end of August, and suddenly they just grew into these huge great monsters and continue to do so into September. So normally by middle of September, most of it's just hanging to dry. A lot of the foliage will have dropped, so there's not so much weight on the canes, and I would have been harvesting. Because everything has come so late, there was a lot of really, really lush growth. So of course, really quite heavy, which hasn't helped. So, rescue mission it is today, and what I'm concerned about, the only thing I am concerned about is I've got some climbing borlotti and the soissons, which are still green, and I'd really, really like to see if I can get the poles back up and leave them so they have their proper life cycle, and get to the dry stage. With the gigantis, I've got a mixture of dried that came really quite early, and then the green with this big flush that came in August. Sorry, I keep kicking you. I'm so sorry. My knees are absolutely wrecked after Dorset. I'm so broken after walking and climbing. It's worth it though. Yeah, so I will rescue what I can, and where the greens are bean, if it's beans I would normally use dried, I'll just pod everything and get them into my freezer as demi-sec, much as I would with, say, the cook with the pampole, and, oh, there's cats. That's Rusty. Rusty, it's okay, buddy, come back in here, it's safe in here. That feral cat I was mentioning the other... Oh, and Poppy's hissing now too. Yeah, there's a little feral cat that's been appearing, and I have been putting some food down for it. bit of a standoff going on. I think I'm going to go and intervene because I don't want the cats scrapping, poor loves. Yes, so let's go and get on with the rescue. Oh, and as a PS, just to say very quickly, something I've never seen before. When I was here on that Thursday last week in the really high wind, I've never seen this in my life before. The tomato plants, which have got no foliage on now, were being whipped around in the wind so hard, the tomatoes were being flung off the plants. I've never seen a tomato flying off a plant in the wind before. Well, until now. So yes, the tomatoes I'm going to also be doing a big pick and rescue of today too. The weather today belies what happened last week. So come on, let's get into the garden and enjoy this gorgeous sunshine and no wind. Okay, so this is what I'm going to deal with today. Here's the path and my shadow. Hello! Here's the path, so that's where my row should be. But as you can see, oop, they're about 45 degrees over there. So on the right-hand row is the Soissons, which ideally I'd like to get them to dried, but don't know. So this is going to be a bit of a mission today. The other ones, which were where the Bolotti weren't, where the Woozle wasn't, they're not quite so bad. So I may be able to, actually, to be honest, I don't think that's worth rescuing. I think I'm just going to have everything off there now. Although there are a bounty of flowers coming. Look, it's a crazy, crazy year for beans. I mean, seriously, I should have been picking these in by the end of June, beginning of July. And we're coming into October. So yeah, I'm thinking I might just have everything off and just freeze them demi-sec. I wonder if you can see, let me see if I can just go in a little bit closer for you. These are some of the second sowing of Bolottis, which were climbers. Can you make those out? Hopefully by their colour. So normally I'd want to have these for dried. I've never done Bolotti demi-sec. I don't know if any of you have tried it. Have you tried them demi-sec? Oh, phooey, phooey, phooey. It's a little bit annoying and it's going to be a little bit time consuming today. And it's not what I wanted to be doing today, but never mind. Let's just make sure we salvage every last one of them. This will give you a better idea. Hang on a tick. Let me tiptoe through here so you can see. There are the canes. And they're right the way over here. These are the Soissons, which I don't know if you remember, but I think it might have been, was it the beginning of the August tour? And they were barely 2 feet high, and I was saying, oh, probably, almost certainly, definitely not going to do these again next year. But they have actually, eventually, they put on a spurt, as you can see, up, 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 up they go, and there's absolutely tons of beans on them now. What to do, what to do, what to do. I think it's going to look at it from the other path as well. I think what I'm going to focus on, this will give you a better idea of just how wonky it's all gone. There's the path, canes either side, and then we get to about halfway down and boom, they're all across. I think what I might do is concentrate on the Gigantes, which are this side, and see if I can leave the Soissons standing. I'm still standing. Shut up, baby. Yeah, because these are all Soissons. Beautiful, aren't they? Absolutely gorgeous. They're still not massively plump. Oh, they're getting there with their plumpness. So if you don't know Soissons, it's a French bean. It's a sort of a haricot bean. So they would normally be a bean for drying. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can leave the Soissons standing so that they can carry on growing and, more importantly, drying. Yeah, It's a plan, Stan. Right, let's get stuck in. Oh, and I will also, I've got a ton of tomatoes to harvest again. Oh, looks like loads of the little orange ones have dropped. Yeah, quite a few tomatoes to harvest there. And all the little, hey buddy, he's already had a cuddle and a feed. And did you manage to escape the feral cat? Did you? Was it a big scary boy? Oh, you're not scared of anything, are you, Rusty? Yeah, so the Gardener's Delight, which went in as a no hope. Look, masses of fruit coming. So yeah, right. Beans and tomatoes, yum yum yum. Let's get stuck in. This feels like a bit of a daunting job. So I'm going to start here and work back to where it's worse, because I figure here I can get to things a bit more easily and I can see things and I can make myself a little bit of space. So I brought a basket, that will be for any that are dry, and then big trug for the green ones. Now the problem about this happening right now is, let's have this bunch off first. I've got zero space in my compost bins. I have 2 bins. One of them is absolutely chock to the brim, and the other is about 3/4 full, but it's quite well rotted down now, and I don't want to add anything to it because I'm hoping to have the whole thing out in a couple of weeks for the raw beans. Yes, for the broad bean bed. So, what am I going to do with all of this lot? Actually, that may stand. Yeah, let's go the other way. Hang on, let's move. Oh my goodness. Because that is still upright. Yeah, let's start in the hard bit. No two ways about it. I'll just move you guys. That's better. Now I can concentrate on trying to take some of the weight out of this, so that maybe I can lift the other side back up. Checking, no beans on there. Yeah, so the issue about having no compost space, all I'm going to do, and I did the same last year, I think I pretty much do the same each year, I'll end up just on one of the empty beds, I'm just going to start piling things up, and then when that bin does get emptied into what will be the new broad bean bed, I will then take my pile that's on the soil and already starting to rot, just chuck it in one of the bins. It's hard to believe we were all ravaged by storms last week, isn't it, with this beautiful sunshine. I think we're due this for the rest of the week. So because I've missed so much time in the garden, I do miss it when I'm not here. I'm going to try and make the most of it. Try and have maybe even a daily visit. That would be a treat. What mixture of beans is this? I've no idea. They sort of, some of them look like gigantes and some of them don't. Ay caramba. Actually, with these, I genuinely don't know what they are. Actually, it looks like a runner. What I'll do is I'll have those off, and I probably won't pod them. I'll probably just over the next few days with these small tender ones, just steam them and eat them now. Because with that late burst of growth in August, I'm actually ending up with way more beans than I thought I was going to have. I'd probably like more. I kind of feel like I can never have too many beans because they're such an important staple in my diet. This is the kind of job where you should have your radio on the allotment, because it's going to take some time. It's going to be a bit tedious. Actually, is it tedious? Time consuming and repetitive, but yeah, I don't think we should think of harvesting as tedious, because my goodness, it's what the whole year has been about, isn't it? I think it's just more that it would obviously have been easier to harvest these while everything was still standing. Do the harvest and then deal with dead plants or the dying back plants and foliage. I think when you have a situation like this, you know what, just make the most of it. Enjoy the quiet, enjoy the fresh air, enjoy the sunshine if you're still getting some, and even if it's not particularly warm, just wrap up well, get out there and make the most of it. It's not often I don't feel like coming to the garden. Rarely do I feel that. But on those occasions when I think, oh, I can't be bothered, there's too much to do, I just remind myself of how many people live without any sort of garden and who would dearly love to have an allotment or some outdoor space. So yeah, always make the most of it, never take it for granted. I'm hardly making any impression on this yet, am I? Oh my goody goodness. I think fortunately, a little bit of a breeze now, fortunately the weather should be more settled over the next few days, so hopefully no more damage. It's like finding treasure amongst all the greenery. I'm going to have a really nice supper tonight with these little tender, skinny, fresh ones. Yum. I know quite a lot of people have had trouble with their beans this year, in the UK anyway. They're really not a drought plant. And we're always back to that question when we have a year like we've had this year, is do we say, I'm going to change the types of crops I grow. I'm going to grow more drought-tolerant plants, more heat-loving plants. But then what happens? We get a cool, sopping wet summer the following summer. So I think, you know, the weather kind of evens out. This year was particularly exceptional. So I don't think I'm going to rush to change any of the varieties I grow. Kind of after this year, I think I'm I think I'm ready to narrow it down a bit. But my goodness, I'm a sucker for trying new things. I love it. Wow, they did form a tangle, didn't they? If I go flying backwards, will someone catch me? Oh la la. I'm sure what will happen is I'll miss one, and you guys there looking this way will see it. Be like, no, Vivi, you missed one. I did see one then. Oh, there it is. Right, this is going to take a while, so why don't you all go and pour yourself a nice glass of something refreshing and come back in a little while. Oh, look at that one. See, this one I'm thinking, did I plant some wrong? Is it? No, they're gigantes. That's weird, I've never seen a long gigantes. They're normally only 2-3 beans to a pod. I'm wondering if I accidentally popped a couple of runners in here as well. I will know as soon as I pod them because the gigantes are gorgeous, pearly white. Yeah, go and pour yourself a glass of something lovely and come back when I finish this lot. What a crazy squash. This is one of the Galadacine. So something else to bear in mind, I'm sorry about that, something else to bear in mind at this time of year as you're out and about in the garden is when's your frost coming. So I still don't think ours is going to be here for a couple of weeks, maybe even 3 weeks. So my intention is to leave all the squash on to keep getting as much sun and as much natural ripening on the plant as they can. But bear in mind, if, like me, especially if you've grown some vertical ones, as the plant is dying back, they may drop, like this one did. So you can see it's just sheared off here. But it's got a good chunk of stalk on it. It should be absolutely fine. So all I'll do for now is I'll probably just leave this one in the shed for now because I'm going to be taking home masses of beans and tomatoes and hopefully the last few blackberries. So yeah, I'll just leave it in the shed for now and then I'll pop it home. And because it has had a bit of trauma on its stalk, I'll keep an eye on it. And if it looks like it might be that it's not going to save, I'll just use it up more quickly than I intended. So yeah, keep an eye on your squash. If they look like they're breaking off or if any of them have broken off already, get them up and in. Oh, I can't wait to harvest the rest of them. Making the most of this beautiful sunshine. I can't do any more work for the minute because I've been pinned down. Look, Poppy's paw on my leg. Are you trying to tell me that I should just chill for a minute, hey Poppy? Oh, beautiful girl. I love these moments of quiet, blue sky, sunshine. We won't have them for much longer, making the most of them. I need to get back to the beans, I'm only halfway through. I just thought I'd come and have a quick sit down and a glass of water because it is quite warm. And then Poppy decided to keep me here. So I'm going to be a bit busy this evening. So I've picked some of my tomatoes the peppers, which are ripe or ripening. Some of them are getting eaten, so I've grabbed those. I will basically chop those up and get those in the freezer. The little cherry tomatoes, I think I'm just going to save and have these fresh over the next few days because they're so gorgeous. But these this is mostly Gardener's Delight and the Rose de Berne, which are bleached by sunlight. They're going to get bottled. So some of the beans I picked green, I'll shell these, and then these will go in the freezer too. They're mostly the gigantes, so there's a few runners in there. And then I've got a couple of bags of dried gigantes and dried other beans, so they're going to need shelling tonight as well, so they can get a proper dry off. So some will be saved for seed and the rest for scoffing. So that's all I'm going to pick today because that's going to keep me busy this evening, and I'll come back and do the same sort of pick again tomorrow. Oh, and the very last of the blackberries, can you see them down in there? It's so dark. Or should I say it's so light? So last of the blackberries, a couple of apples, yep. That can either be a little pudding this evening. I'm not really a pudding person. It's more likely going to be breakfast over the next couple of days. Gorgeous colours and busy evening ahead. These are so pretty, aren't they, these cherries? Oh, yum, 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 yum. Right, next job on the list. Oh, what a lovely little session this has been. Absolutely gorgeous. Sun's getting a bit lower now, but it's just so warm and peaceful, just the most gentle breeze. Oh, gorgeous. Just when I think I couldn't feel any more blessed, I feel more blessed. So that's a little bit of rescue done today, but like I said, there's a lot for me to deal with when I get home in terms of storing all that gorgeous produce. I've completely filled my granny trolley. It weighs a ton. So I think I'm just going to basically do the same again tomorrow and the next day and the day after. So the beans are still, let me just show you, the beans are still at a really jaunty angle. Whoopla! I get too comfy in this deck chair. Let me just show you. You'll probably be able to see already the difference, hopefully. I've basically taken a lot of the, well, I've harvested loads, that's one thing, but a lot of the excessive sort of foliage and weight in the top I've taken out. And amazingly, they all seem to be staying where they are and not falling over anymore. And like I said, because in this first row, well, the first row is Gigantes and behind it is the Soissons, and they are for drying, as are the Borlottis. So I'm going to see, even though it's a really jaunty angle, I'm going to see if I can just leave them like that now, rather than harvest them green, because I do have a lot of harvested green demi-sec in the freezer already. So in terms of space and just variety, really, I would like to see if they can survive and me have them stored dry. I don't want to move. Aren't these days in the early part of the autumn so beautiful? That warmth, but not heat, not hot, not dripping with sweat. Oh, it's great to be back, and it's great to be back feeling pretty much like my old self as well. Still a little bit of residual tiredness from whatever that virus was, but nothing to concern me. Sometimes there are no words. So I'm going to say cheerio to all of you. I'm going to enjoy a quick 40 winks in the deck chair. Judy's on her plot next door, so I might ask her to come and wake me up in half an hour. Right. Cheerio to all of you. Happy harvesting. And I hope any damage you had because of Storm Ali is fixable. Don't despair. There's always next year to do stuff. Take care, everyone.